Welcome back to the Privacy Report. We spend, just vast amounts of time and budget building these really sophisticated digital defenses, firewalls, two-factor authentication, encrypted channels.
All the good stuff.
Exactly. But today we're actually focusing on this gaping security hole that needs zero lines of code, zero technical skill to exploit. I'm talking about visual hacking. Think about it. Work, life, it all unfolds everywhere now, right? Airport gates, shared offices, waiting for coffee.
Yeah, everywhere.
And our screens, they've basically become these wide open windows into our sensitive data. Public spaces are now potential intelligence gathering zones.
This is a huge blind spot.
It really is.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in how, simple physical solutions can actually complement all that digital fortress building and why this really casual threat is so often just dismissed, well, you've come to the right place. And just before we dive right in, remember you can always get more insights and analysis straight to your inbox. Just subscribe to our email newsletter over at theprivacyreport.net.
Yeah, and that's really the core of it, isn't it? We've gotten so good at optimizing for data in transit securing the networks, the connections.
Right.
But we often just completely ignore data at rest, or maybe more accurately, data on display. So today we're unpacking how simple, physical things, specifically privacy filters, are actually a necessary layer. A non-negotiable one, I'd argue.
Non-negotiable. Interesting.
Because that casual threat, someone just looking over your shoulder surfing, as it's known, it gets underestimated.
Well,
why? Because it feels like just a low-effort annoyance.
Yeah, just someone being nosy.
Exactly. But in reality, it's a critically high-risk attack vector. It's just so easy.
Okay, let's really dig into that. Visual hacking. It sounds kind of dramatic, maybe like something from a spy movie.
A bit, yeah.
But the action itself is like breathtakingly basic, just stealing information by looking at someone's screen.
That's it. And it's pervasive precisely because it bypasses every single digital control you mentioned. Your firewall doesn't care if someone's reading over your shoulder.
Right, the VPN doesn't help there.
Not at all. It's the ultimate subtle attack. And the success rate is actually alarming. Studies have shown that when an attacker tries a visual hack, they succeed like over 90% of the time.
90%, wow.
Yeah, often grabbing valuable info in just the first few seconds. And we're not just talking about, seeing a company logo. We're talking full credential capture.
Credentials?
Oh, yeah. Reading confidential client emails, looking at intellectual property, detailed financial models, you name it.
Okay, that's serious.
The value of that info is huge. If an attacker sees an employee ID, an email address on screen, that's enough for a really targeted phishing campaign later. Or they see a client name, a dollar amount. That could be material non-public information. Big trouble.
And I imagine this isn't just a general worry. For certain jobs, this must move from, like you said, annoyance to a potential compliance nightmare.
Absolutely. Think about anyone handling highly regulated data. Lawyers, healthcare workers, financial services people.
Even cybersecurity pros themselves, right?
Especially them. They might have, federal-grade encryption, mandatory VPNs, the works. But if they're reviewing patient records, HIPAA implications right there, or, say, proprietary trading info in a coffee shop.
They're exposed.
Totally exposed.
Yeah.
The vulnerability stays because once that data hits the screen, the security boundary, it shifts.
Yeah.
It's not digital anymore, it's physical. You've protected the data flying across the internet, but not the light literally shining out from your display.
That's a really key distinction. Physical security for digital assets. Okay, so the problem. Exposed screen. Let's talk solutions.
Right.
The privacy screen filter.
Right.
So at its simplest, it's just this thin layer of special material, usually polycarbonate, right? And it just sticks on or rests against your screen.
Yeah.
What's really cool, though, is how it works. It uses polarization. Can you break that down a bit? Why is that so important for limiting who sees what?
Sure. So normally the light from your screen scatters, goes in all directions. Polarization forces those light waves to travel along just one specific axis. Think of it like Venetian blinds for your screen, but microscopic, invisible ones.
Ah, okay, like tiny little blinds.
Exactly. It's done using these things called microscopic louvers, tiny parallel slats inside the filter material. They're usually vertical and set at a specific angle, typically about 60 degrees total viewing angle, so 30 degrees each side from the center.
Got it.
So when you, the user, look straight on, your line of sight is perfectly aligned with those louvers. The light comes straight through, clear as day.
So it's not just making the screen darker for everybody, it's actively blocking the light that isn't going straight towards the user.
Precisely. So when someone tries to peek from the side, say at a 45-degree angle,
Yeah.
their line of sight hits the sides of those opaque louvers, and bam, all they see is a dark, maybe blurry, maybe completely black screen.
Okay.
It lets you work normally, but it frustrates that opportunistic glance, that shoulder surfer, which is, let's be honest, how most visual hacking happens. It's a really clever bit of physical engineering, locking down that final display point.
I totally see the benefit, especially if you're dealing with really sensitive stuff. But like any security measure, there have to be trade-offs, right? Before we call this a perfect fix, what are the compromises in usability?
That's a really critical point.
Yeah.
No security measure is completely free, is it? The main compromise here is usually the visual experience itself.
Oh, so?
The most common feedback is a slight but noticeable dip in brightness and clarity, because the filter is literally absorbing or deflecting light that would normally scatter outwards. You just lose some of that luminosity.
Right. And I could see that being a real issue for some people, like graphic designers, video editors, anyone needing perfect color accuracy.
Absolutely. That reduction in clarity, maybe even a slight shift in color temperature on some screens, especially glossy ones, that can be a genuine hurdle. You're essentially sacrificing some visual fidelity for security.
So it's a conscious choice.
It is, and we need to frame it right. It's not really a flaw that the screen is dimmer. That reduction in sidelight is the whole point of the security feature working. On modern high-res screens, it's often pretty acceptable, but yeah, you might find yourself cranking up the brightness setting.
Which hits the battery life.
Which hits the battery life, exactly. So
Yeah.
it forces that calculation. Security versus battery, privacy versus peak color.
Okay, beyond the visuals, let's talk logistics. If someone decides, okay, this protection is worth it, the market seems to have a ton of options. How do you pick the right shield?
It really boils down to how you use your device, mostly. If you're constantly on the move, traveling, hopping between meeting rooms, you probably want flexibility.
Makes sense.
That's where magnetic filters are great. They just snap onto the bezel. You see them a lot on MacBooks or some other laptops. Easy to pop off if you need to share your screen with someone next to you in a private setting.
Right, quick on, quick off. But what if you're mostly at one desk? Fixed workstation.
For that, adhesive filters might be better. They stick right on, giving you a thinner, more seamless look. Less chance of glare between the screen and the filter, too. They're meant to be more permanent or semi-permanent anyway. Then you've got the simpler slide-in or snap-on tabs. They often use little plastic tabs that stick to the bezel. Good for older monitors, maybe, or shared workstations where different people use the same screen.
And we definitely can't forget phones and tablets. That's arguably where we check the most sensitive personal stuff in the most public places.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
On the train, waiting in line, yeah. For mobile devices, the common thing is privacy-tempered glass.
Ah, so it does two jobs.
Exactly. You get the polarization effect to block side views, and you get physical protection against drops and scratches. Win-win.
Nice.
And we're even seeing, specialty filters now, like ones that combine blue light reduction for eye comfort with the privacy screening. So two benefits, one filter. The bottom line is there's pretty much a solution for every screen size and type out there.
Okay, which brings us to, I think, a really crucial realization, a screen filter. It's a powerful tool, yes, but it's not like this magic fortress, right?
Not at all.
It's not a complete substitute for just good digital hygiene. And it definitely doesn't mean you can be careless. You have to pair the hardware with smart habits.
100%. The filter deals with those opportunistic glances from the side. But, and this is key, it does not solve the problem of someone standing directly behind you.
Right, looking straight down over your shoulder.
Exactly. That's a physical security gap only you, the user, can really manage.
So what are the practical steps then?
Well, first rule has to be proactive positioning. If you're working in public, try not to sit facing the door or with a busy walkway right behind you. Best bet. Back against a solid wall. It just eliminates that 180-degree blind spot.
Simple but effective.
And beyond where you sit, it's about constant discipline. Locking your screen every time you step away, even for 30 seconds to grab that coffee refill.
Yeah, I know so many people who hesitate. It feels like an inconvenience for such a short time.
But that 30 seconds, that's a huge window. That hesitation is the psychological hurdle we all need to get over. It has to become muscle memory. Step away, lock screen. Windows key plus L, Command plus Control plus Q, whatever it takes.
Good point.
And maybe even use physical blinders. Like prop open your laptop bag next to you or use a binder to block the view from the person sitting right beside you. even with a filter, because someone really close might still catch something at a shallow angle, maybe 10 or 15 degrees, where the filter isn't fully blacked out yet.
Okay, so combining the hardware, the filter with these behavioral defenses, that really highlights this whole idea of layered privacy, doesn't it?
It's exactly that. You need the physical layer, the filter. You need the software layer, encryption, firewall, strong authentication. And you absolutely need the human layer, your behavior, your awareness.
So the filter isn't foolproof, but it makes the attacker's job harder.
Much harder. It removes that zero-skill, super low-effort attack vector. It forces them to use maybe more obvious techniques, or like we said, get uncomfortably close behind you, which is more likely to draw attention. By killing off that easy, casual glance, you dramatically cut your exposure to probably the most common type of data breach besides phishing.
It's funny, we obsess over, sophisticated hackers trying to breach the network.
The zero-day exploits, yeah.
Right. But statistically, you're probably far more likely to be compromised by someone who just watched you type a password in an airport lounge.
Sadly, yes. And as our work and personal lives just keep spilling out into these shared public spaces, we have to start treating physical privacy as seriously as we treat network security and encryption. It has to be on the same level.
If you don't secure that endpoint, the actual screen, you've left the most direct path wide open.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Protecting what's on your screen. It isn't just, smart personal practice anymore. It's really becoming an essential compliance measure in the modern professional world.
Securing that visible data, it really has to become a non-negotiable step. Okay, so as everyone listening reflects on whether they need these physical shields, here's a final thought to chew on. If your organization mandates, say, expensive, cutting-edge encryption to meet standards like GDPR or IPA, but doesn't provide or require privacy filters for employees working remotely or traveling, where does the liability actually fall if a breach happens because someone just stole a glance? What's the real corporate cost of ignoring that physical environment?
That's a tough question for a lot of organizations.
Yeah.
It's something to really think about.
Absolutely. Well, we hope this discussion has shed some light on the critical role physical security plays in your digital life. Remember to like and subscribe to the Privacy Report wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks so much for tuning in. This episode was made with the assistance of AI.